Welcome back to some new r/petty revenge stories, where people share small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Best Gift Ever. We moved into a rental house in a neighborhood with our 3 kids. The day after we moved in, our neighbor, let's call him Gene, knocked on our door after my husband left for work. When I answered the door, he skipped all pleasantries and introductions to gruffly inform me that the light switch in my family room closet needed to be turned off immediately and that it was my duty to ensure that it was kept off. Obviously puzzled by this demand, I asked what the switch was for. Gene said that the switch was for an exterior patio light that would shine into his bedroom at night and keep him awake, which was not acceptable. I figured the kids had turned it on while exploring the new house, so I assured him I'd turn it off. Without another word, he turned on his heel and went home. Unfortunately, my rude Gene encounters persisted. During the 18 months we lived there, he would wait for my husband to leave, then come and complain and gripe at me about something we had done wrong. Our dogs would loudly sniff at the fence if he was outside. Our sprinkler was spraying too high. Our trash can was too close to his, etc. etc. Our other neighbors adored us and our kids, so I really don't think we were the problem. I finally stopped answering the door, so he started leaving notes, and even went as far as to find me on Facebook and send me a message there. Just the worst. Husband tried to talk to him and tell him to leave me alone, but he'd deny any wrongdoing. Reasoning with him was pointless, so we made the decision to just ignore him the best we could. We were finally moving to a new place out of town, and my husband went back to do the final walkthrough of the house. When he left for the final time, he called me to let me know he had a gift for me. The last thing he did before locking the door and leaving that house for good, turning on the patio light switch in the closet, knowing full well the landlord wouldn't be there for final cleaning for 4 days. Best gift ever. The next story is called Blocked Driveway. I live next to a school, and I've had parents back up into my driveway to wait for their children. If I'm not going anywhere, I don't mind. No harm, no foul. One day I came home to find a woman in my driveway. I got out of my car and asked her to please pull out for a second, so I could pull in, and then she could back up. She said it will only be a few minutes. I said, "Ma'am, I live here and I'd like to get into my garage. Because it's a narrow street and parents are now parked on both sides, only one car can get by at a time." I told her that I cannot wait here a few minutes because I'm blocking traffic. "Well, I'll be moving in a bit." I said, "Okay, no, you won't be." I then parked perpendicular to her vehicle, blocking my own driveway and her vehicle. As I walked by, I told her I really have to use the bathroom. "You are welcome to call the police if you like. I'll be out in a bit." The look on her face after she realized what was happening was priceless. A few minutes later, I could hear honking. A few more minutes later, I hear honking and my doorbell ringing. Only because I saw it was a child ringing on my Ring doorbell, I answered. "I'll be out in a minute. I'm washing my hands." I could hear the little boy screaming to his mother, I assume. By the time I came out a few more minutes later, all the vehicles and students were gone. I very slowly walked past her car, avoiding eye contact, and got into my car. I adjusted the mirror, moved the car seat forward, then back slowly, started the car, and moved my car forward slowly. All I heard was the tires screeching and the car horn honking as she left. Her windows were rolled up, so I can only assume the little boy got an earful of nice words as she was leaving. The third story is called No Parking for You. This happened many years ago. I'm an IT contractor living in England. I got a job working next to the Welsh Assembly in Wales. Typically, I travel on bicycle or train, since there wasn't really a need for a car in Cardiff. One week, I needed my car there for something, so I arrived early Monday morning. Between the Welsh Assembly and our building was a triangle of land that belonged to the Assembly, but they'd not included it inside their wall. So it was just this triangle of unmaintained mud and grass, big enough for one car parallel to the wall, or two cars perpendicular. I arrived, parked with enough space for another car. There was usually one parked there. Midway through the day, I get called over by my boss, who asks if I parked there. He says that his boss is mad because I'm parked there. I argue over it being public land, etc. I'm told that this boss gets to say on my contract and doesn't need a reason to end my contract. So fine, I'll move my car. Within 30 minutes of moving my car, my boss's boss has turned his around, so nobody else can park there. This annoys me. The following Sunday, I visited the local car hire company and found out that because of the miracle of the British train network, it costs me about an extra £20 to hire a car for the week. Off to Cardiff I go. Car gets parked there from 6 AM Monday all the way through to 6 PM Friday. Boss asks if it's mine. Of course not. You've seen what I drive. I don't know nothing. This goes on for the next 4 months of my contract. The next story is called Blocked Road. I live in a condo in downtown Toronto. My parking garage entrance is on a small dead-end street, with only one lane for each direction of travel. At the end of the street is a public parking garage. A majority of the traffic exits during rush hour. I was coming home from an appointment and unfortunately came home during rush hour. People always want to rush home and don't care about breaking road rules to save themselves minutes. Well, this one man thought he would be smart and tried to skip the traffic by driving on the wrong side of the road. When he could see me coming down the street in the correct direction, I stopped my car as I'm almost nose to nose with his car. I'm nearly at the garage entrance. The guy in the car wants me to reverse for his convenience. I wasn't going to do that. I then motioned that he should reverse down the street and let me through. He refused. I had a newspaper with me that day, so I put my car in park and turned off the engine, then began reading the paper in full view of the guy. He started laying on his horn. I ignored him. Around 10 minutes later, he couldn't take it and proceeded to reverse down the road, giving me space to turn into the garage. The last story is called Rental Car Company. Years ago, someone hit my parked car. My insurance covered a rental and set it up for me at Company D. They were supposed to have the car ready when I dropped mine off at the body repair shop in the AM. They didn't. Said they would deliver. So I grabbed a taxi to work on my dime. At the end of the day, they show up and have a junky Chevy economy car ready, but I have to shuttle the worker back to the rental car place. I rent a lot of cars, so I looked it over. It was in decent shape, but the gas was like just above half. I tell the guy, and he said they had to run some errands, just bring it back at the same level. Oddly, I had to rent a big SUV from my usual rental car company A for that week and was out of town. I worked for a multinational consulting firm, so this rental from Company D, I drove a whopping 16 kilometers when it was time to return it. I put in $5 of gas and dropped it off after my work trip. I get my credit card bill and there's a $70 charge. The rental should have been paid for by insurance, but my card was on hold. I called and asked what's going on. I was told I didn't return it with a full tank. I explained I got it not full. They insisted it was more full than I returned it, so the charge stood. It was the principal at this point. Eventually got a hold of some VP I found on LinkedIn or something. I said, reverse the charge and apologize, or I will make sure we never rent from you again. He didn't care. Fast forward a couple years. I had told everyone I know not to use Company D anymore. They lost some business, but it didn't hurt, I'm sure. Then, as luck would have it, our company was negotiating rates with all the big firms for hotels, cars, etc. Our head of procurement wanted feedback from frequent travelers from various operating companies. My name was picked for feedback as one of the more experienced global travelers. Lucky me, unlucky Company D. I told procurement that I liked this hotel chain or that airline, whatever. I kept an even keel, nonplussed. Then, when it came time for rental cars, I had a big song and dance for how Company D can't be trusted. Some various made up shady practices, like not having safe cars, not offering extended services, whatever I needed. A month or so later, I see our online portal that we must use to book travel no longer features Company D or the sister brands as a car rental option. I personally had probably spent 20k on rental cars a year on average. If I extrapolate that to just my operating company's 4,000 employees, that was the most expensive $70 they ever ripped someone off for. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.